Yes, this is a confession because I read less books than last year. Hello, welcome back to my channel. First video of 2026. I think we should do a annually review of all the books I've read in 2025. And as you may have heard, yes, I read less books this year than last year. I blame it to the moving and reorganizing my bookshelf. But today we are going to review, I think, because I reorganized them, all the books I've read in 2025. I will divide this video into 3 groups as I mainly read literature, detective stories / mystery, and a little bit nonfiction. I hope you like this video. So let's get started. First up, literature. Liza of Lambeth, which was the first book ever written by British author Somerset Maugham. It's a smoothly written a story about how poverty and bad choices in life and unreliable men ruined a girl. Because of his doctor background, Maugham wrote in a specific and detailed way. He has great observation about the society at that time. It also laid a foundation of his later work. If you're a fan of his, you should read this book, Brave New World by Huxley. We discussed this book in the channel before, a masterpiece discussing our relationship with ourselves and technology. The more I read it, the more real the story felt to me. At some point, it became scarily real, but it's a timeless classical. You have to read this. The third one, The Bad Girl by Llosa. We talked about this book in previous videos. Absolutely insane, devastating, traumatic to me. It's emotionally intense, a great story to rock your world if you like that kind of stories. You know what I mean. Wrong Loves by Cristina Peri Rossi. A very delicate book discussing all the relationships that's considered as wrong by society and moral standards. It's okay. If it's a extremely hot weather and you were sleepy from the burning sun, everything felt dead to you, you lay down and wanted to read a summer book, this is the book you should read. This is the vibe that it gives me. It's a short story collection, so it's very easy to get into the stories, but it leaves an emotional echo in my mind. White Knight by Dostoevsky. We talked about this book as well. A book about loneliness, nostalgia, and the love that you will never get in your life. A classical that reminds me that something, even if it's nowadays, something will never change despite what time you're living in. A very short story as well, but if you want a taste of Dostoevsky, you should start with this book. Living to Tell the Tale by Garcia Marquez. We talk about this book as well. Absolutely stunning, witty memoir. It's just as amazing, if not more, as his literary works. Must read if you like him. The Walk by Robert Walser. We talked about this book in previous videos. I think I wasn't straightforward enough in that video, so I'm going to lay it all out. I hate this book. Not because it's bad written, because it has a dark and subtle tone. It's quiet, it's a world buried underneath a river that I didn't get. It's beautifully written, but it's just not my thing. As I Lay Dying by Faulkner. Again, I didn't get it. It's difficult, it's complicated, it's a discussion about death from different points of views. I know it's a masterpiece, I just don't like it. Also, I noticed something really interesting. So if you want to read something in a bicycle machine when you were in the gym, you can read Dostoevsky, no problem. But you cannot read Faulkner. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but that was my feeling. A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. A great spring summer book about the nature, love, and all the emotions you have only when you were young. Beautifully written. You should consider reading it. Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. A distant discussion about love, disease, and tragedy. To me, this story is more like a fable. It's also obscure, so I don't hate it, but I don't think I would read it again. The Red and the Black by Stendhal. I did a video about this book. It surprised me how intriguing and easy to read. It's a wonderful panoramic view about the French society. I had empathy about the protagonist. It was a great and it was an intense read, but I love it, and I totally understand after I read it that why it became a classical, because sometimes people got intimidated by the classical reads. They think they're too difficult, they're too obscure. Yes, but not this one. So if you want to read something classical, this is the best way to start. The Beautiful and Damned by F.Scott Fitzgerald. Okay, it's too long for my taste, but I like the structure of the book, the way that the characters went from a happy, wealthy, naive, innocent couple to self-destruction. It was a heartbroken thing to witness, but Fitzgerald wrote in a specific way that it's brutal, it's cruel, but he put it in a light way, which makes it harder to read. Bel-Ami by French author Maupassant. I love this book. Love this book to a point that I bought several copies for my friends. These three books are incredibly interesting to read together because they fundamentally discussed the same story. How money and privileged life changed a person, the obtainable love in one's life, and how it shaped your mind, and how people could be eaten alive by their ambitions and emotions. So it's actually really interesting if you read them back to back. If you want to pick the easier one to read, I recommend either Bel-Ami or The Red and the Black. Night Hutchinson by Chinese author Wang Xiaobo. It's a Chinese classical. It's funny, it's dark, it's light, it's about history, re-fantasizing. I find this book fascinating to read when taking metros or any public transportation because I can just shift to another time and space in no time, which gave me a lot of pleasure. Kingakuji by Japanese author Yukio Mishima. We talked about this in previous videos. It's not an easy book to read, but if you want to travel to Japan, or you are interested in their culture, or you were just wanted to know a version of this famous gold temple, you should read this book. It's cruel. It talks about all the bad side of humanity, so that which makes it really hard to read. But you can tell the Japanese philosophy of beauty and living and death behind it, so that makes it an interesting read. As usual, I feel like each year you should read one Borges, otherwise your year is incomplete. This year we read two of Borges' books, El Aleph and Book of Sand. Both books, actually, they have similarity because they're all short story collections from Borges. It's about puzzles, death, different world, people's connection, war, peace, books and weird books, urban myth, sadness, everything. This is like a dictionary. Any word you can think of will be mentioned here, which makes reading his books so much more fun. But if you have to choose one, choose the Book of Sand. I had more fun reading this book because the stories here were more weird. Let me put it this way. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I know this is a short book, but I spent a long time reading this because it's really hard to get into her mind. And the more I think about this, the more I think it's a story not about women, but about trauma and how trauma shaped all of us. Three Tales by French author Gustave Flaubert. I didn't really enjoy this book because it's a story about religious. I found it a little bit hard to read because it's not a familiar subject to me. It's the classical Flaubert and how he writes, how he structures a story. If you like his work, you should read this. Stoner. I talked about this book in a few previous videos, but I had never done a book review video just for it because I don't know how to do it. I'll just say it honestly. This is my book of life. If I can only read one book ever in my life, I will read this book. I read it again and again because I think the true meaning of life hidden inside it, and I go back to it repeatedly to find comfort. That's how important this book is to me. Woody Allen, Zero Gravity. Not gonna lie, I bought this book because I had other books in my chart, and if I get one more book, I got free shipment. That's how I got this book. It was very funny, very New York, very Woody Allen. He yaps like he wrote and how he made his films. If you like Woody Allen, you like his tone, you will love this book. It's a little bit too much for me. It's a little bit too Upper East, privileged Manhattan style for me, but the stories there were pretty good. It was exactly like his movies. Death of Ivan Ilyich by Tolstoy. They said this is the greatest short story in human history. I partly agree. It's very intense. It talks about devil, death, the meaning of life, all the hard themes in life that only a Russian author could have explored to that level. If you want to get a taste of Tolstoy, start with this. Selected Stories by Maupassant. Masterpiece. I wish there is more like this. I need to find if there's a complete collection of all the Maupassant books. Absolutely fantastic, classically written. It has all the best part about Maupassant's story, how he wrote in a sharp tone, revealing the ugly truth about humanity, the hypocrisy of human beings, the love between a man and a woman, and how easily faded it was. Love this book. Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky. Yeah, that's my reaction to this book. It's really hard to read, and either the author or the main character should seek therapy. That's my genuine reaction of this book. It talks about the inside world of a person that had never been accepted by society. It was very interesting to read, but a little bit too hard, maybe. Do not read this if it's wintertime and you were alone and you were looking for comfort. Do not read this, I repeat. Walden by Thoreau. A very interesting book to read in this day because technology completely killed the possibility of living like he did in this book. But what he wrote in it remains very relatable, especially about how our relationship with ourselves and with nature changed. I didn't think I would enjoy this book, but I actually did, which is to my surprise, because when I opened this book, my initial plan was to read like first 3 chapters and bolt. But I didn't. I read the whole thing and it's beautiful. I found a way to connect with the nature in my mind after reading it, and it brought me peace, which is very rare. Why I Write by George Orwell. If you like literature and you are interested in what's in the mind of an author, you should read this book. It's partly his memoir, partly essay collections about literature, words, and fictions, and how he write and why he write. He also talked about his experience working in a secondhand bookstore and how he viewed Tolstoy and Shakespeare, and his thoughts about society and how literature reflected them. It's a very interesting book, and you can get a little bit taste of his character in it, that how he view the world, and then how he think the society should function, what he think a novelist should help in the society. It's a pretty interesting book. I Should Really Be Practicing by Gary Graffman, a pianist virtuoso who also unfortunately recently passed away. I had great fun reading this book. It's his memoir of how he grew up, how he practiced, how he started his career as a pianist, and all the funny things and people that he came across with. If you like classical music or if you enjoy going to concerts, you would love this. He wrote in a very witty tone. He complained about things and he showed the true side, the true life of being a pianist. I love this book. I would read this again if I'm listening to his records. Then there comes the mystery/detective story section. All She Said Was Yes by Shirley Jackson. We talked about this in previous videos. I cannot imagine someone can come up with a story like this. It's dark, it's terrifying, it's hysterical, it creeps me out, it keeps me up at night, and I absolutely love it. The Burning Court by American author John Dickson Carl. Actually, this is the last book, detective story I read this year. It left a huge impression in my heart. I love the way the story unfolds. It's very fast-paced. It has all the right mystery. It's paced really well, so you got goosebumps almost every chapter. It keeps me up at night. But I hate the ending. I hate how they uncover the mystery. I don't think the deduction was as good as the mystery puzzle itself. That's why I'm a little disappointed, but I will definitely read more of his book. The Name of the Rose by the one and only Italian author Umberto Eco. I don't know. So I gave a few thought about which section this should be in. Mystery or literature, maybe both. I had a hard time keeping up with the author because this is not a traditional detective story. It involves a huge amount of information and discussion about society, history, and humanity. But I love the setup of this story, and somehow I think it will be a great book to be adapted into TV shows because I was imagining the ending. If you put it on a screen, it must be epic. And I like this book. I know it's a little bit hard to read, to get into, but if you are interested in a story like that, I recommend this book. The Specialty of the House by American author Stanley Island. We talked about this book in previous videos. It terrifies me. It's weird, it's creepy, it's dark, it has murder, but you cannot see the blood, which makes it even more scary. I love it. It's the best book to read during Halloween. Then we have these books. I did a video about them, but I'm just still gonna give a quick review about it. The collection of British author Anthony Horowitz, or his detective story collection. We have Hawthorne and Magpie Murders. A Line to Kill. The sentence is death, the word is murder, and the twist of a knife. If you're looking for detective stories to read on your way to work or during running or washing dishes, read these books. They're funny, they're witty, they're very easy to catch up, and they have relatively good deduction of the murder mystery puzzle. They usually have multiple homicides, and you can get a great massage of your brain if you read them, because sometimes you can't tell who is the murderer. I think I did it like half of the time I read Horowitz books. So, and also they're not long, so it takes maybe like a week or a holiday to finish. Great holiday reads. And then Magpie Murder and Moonflower Murders, they have all been adapted to TV shows. So if you don't want to read the books, you can still watch the TV show. They casted fantastic actors and actresses to play the characters. I love it. In terms of the books, these are obviously longer and harder to solve the puzzle by yourself. But I really like the Moonflower Murders because it has a very interesting and special structure. I enjoyed tremendously. When I read it, I get the pure joy of reading a good old traditional detective stories. And last but not least, Richard Osman, We Solve Murders. I talked a little bit about this briefly. I love the Thursday Murder Club so much that, by the way, I'm reading the latest Thursday Murder Club book that came out a few months ago. Love them. I hate this book. What the is this? It's boring, it's long, it's lame. I didn't like any of the characters. I cannot connect with them. The puzzle is really weird. The plot is here and there. I had a really hard time keeping up, and I don't think it's because I read slowlier in English. I read other books fine. So I'm sorry if you like this book, I apologize, but I don't like this book. Be that as it may, if this book has a sequel, I probably would read it because okay, here's the thing about Richard Osman, his writing. I love the characters once you get to know them more. Once you get to know them, you got familiar with them, they all feel like your good old friends, neighbors, your relatives, your grandpa, the neighbor of your grandpa that you love to hang out with. But if you cannot keep up with them or you cannot get into their world, the writing and the plot feels like here and there. You cannot form a complete plot line or thinking about these books and characters, and sometimes they just hit and missed. That's my biggest problem of this book. Also, it's a little bit too long, and seriously, I want my Elizabeth back, please. But luckily, I got it now because I'm reading it, and I will share my genuine review about that book when I'm done. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I promise in New Year I'll do better. I will read more books, and I hope this video doesn't disappoint you. But thank you for watching. Have a great new year, everybody. See you next time. Bye.